She talked about like it was the most obvious thing, and I was like, why did no one tell me this? Hey y'all, so if you don't know me, my name's Victoria. I'm a college student in Boston right now, but I previously used to work for a Disney cruise line, so I've gone on a number of Disney trips in the past, probably like a couple of years, and I just recently came back from a trip in January with 3 of my best friends, and it was incredible. I have a video for that if you'd like to take a look at it, and I'm actually in the process of planning a trip for next month with my family. And I think the trip that I went on in January is probably like the most efficient Disney trip I've ever been on. I don't know how we did it, but we did every ride in 3 out of 4 parks in 2 days. That being said, we did do like open to close, rope drop to extra magic hours every single day. So it was definitely a very packed trip, but we got it done. We said we only have 2 days here. We gotta, so basically this is my top 5 tips for planning the most efficient Disney trip of your life. So tip number 1, the My Disney Experience app is your friend. It is your best friend. It is everything that you could possibly need is in that little app. You can do your check-in through that app. So one of the things that I hate is having to stand at at my resort front desk and just waiting for everyone that didn't do it on the app to check in, or waiting for people to ask like kind of irrelevant questions. And like, God bless the guest relations cast members, because they just knock it out of the park. They're amazing. But if you want to save yourself the extra, whatever, 10, 15, sometimes 20 minutes that you're going to be waiting in that guest relations line for the front desk of your resort, check in on the app. You can check in on the app. You can even get your magic band sent to your house ahead of time, done either through the app or through like the My Disney Experience website. You can book your fast passes up to, I believe, a month in advance through the app. The app is your best friend. The app also has wait times. It's just everything you need to know. And most of these other tips will be based off of things in the app. So I just highly recommend that you get very familiar with the app, because it's very useful to use before your trip as you're doing kind of the booking the fast passes and the resort reservations and all of that. And then actually during the trip to keep tab of, okay, so when were my fast passes? And when did I book my dining reservations? And wait times and mobile ordering. That's another big one that I feel saved us a lot of time, was not having to wait in line at quick service locations. And even if we had reservations places, like we went to Be Our Guests and we knew that we had reservations, and we still mobile ordered our breakfast the night before, so that way we could just like walk into the restaurant, didn't even have to think about it, and we're able to just like get out into the parks as quickly as possible. So my second tip is to have all of those plans, have them in your app, have them in a Google Doc, have them in a spreadsheet, whatever way you want to organize yourself, but also be flexible. Because when we first made our plans for our trip in January, it was very strict. It was like, we're gonna go to breakfast, we're gonna go to this ride, then this ride, then this ride, then this ride, and this is like in what we thought was like the most efficient way to make our way around the park. And then we realized, looking at the wait times, that like that wasn't really the case, and that if something had a really short wait time, it just made more sense to go there. So that was a big thing that worked for us, was like having an idea of when do we want to leave by, like when do we need to be stepping out of the door to get on the bus, when do we want to get to the parks by, and when are our fast passes. But then beyond that, like just keeping tabs on the wait times and going from there. And I feel like that kind of mix between like, yes, we have a structured plan, but then we also have a sense of flexibility, worked really well. And it's how we were able to get so many rides done in such a short amount of time, because we were just kind of like rolling with the punches and seeing what had a short wait time. Tip number 3 is to make the most out of your fast passes. That basically relates to the times in which you can book. So there's a lot of really funny rules around like when you can and can't book a fast pass and whether or not they can overlap and whether they can be in the same parks. The basic thing to know is that you can book 3 fast passes in one park in a day, and then once you've used up those 3, then you can book another one. But you have to have used up the 3 that you already booked. So that being said, you can't park hop with your fast passes. So you can't book like a fast pass in Magic Kingdom, then one in Epcot, and then one in Magic Kingdom again. They have to all be in Magic Kingdom because they have to be 3 to 1 park. That being said, if you use your 3 in Magic Kingdom and then you decide you want to go to Epcot and book your extra one in Epcot, totally fine. But that's just kind of the basic rules of how fast passes work. The other thing is that you have specific time slots. So you can book a fast pass, say, from 5:20 to 6:20. Usually they're about an hour long, and that's like the window of time that you have to get yourself to that ride to use your fast pass. So what makes them efficient and the best way to book your fast passes so that you can make the most out of your time is to book them pretty much all back to back and to go to one of them at the tail end of that hour time frame and then go to your next one at the beginning of the time frame. So say that you have like a 4:20 to 5:20 and then maybe like a 5:30 to 6:30 because they can't overlap. So that's kind of what they would have to be for you to be able to book them that way. You would go to your one that's 3:20, you would go right towards the tail end of it. So you would try to go at like 4:15, almost 4:20. Like obviously don't miss your fast pass, but try to go at like 4:15. Because by the time you're off of that ride and by the time you get to your next one, your fast pass time slot would have already started for that one. So then you can just get on that one, be done, and you just did 2 rides in like 30 minutes and pretty much didn't have to wait in line. So tip 4 is to make the most out of your dining reservation. So this is actually something that I had no idea about until I booked my trip in January, and one of my friends who has actually been on just like a million Disney trips told me, and she talked about like it was the most obvious thing, and I was like, why did no one tell me this? But basically it is booking dining reservations early in the morning so that you can get into the parks before they technically open. And a lot of times these can be like really fun reservations. So like we booked Be Our Guest so that we could get into the park, eat breakfast, and then be in line for Mine Train before the park technically opened. Same thing for people that like really want to do Avatar Flight of Passage. Book Tusker House. Tusker House is such a cute character dining location, and you can get into the park super early and just like sprint over to, don't sprint because you're not allowed to run in the parks, but you can just speed walk over to Avatar and be done with Flight of Passage before the parks even open. This one's kind of more obvious and straightforward, but making sure that you're booking your dining reservations like not miles away from the park that you think you're going to be in that day. So like if we knew that we were spending the day in Magic Kingdom, we were not trying to book dinner reservations at Animal Kingdom Lodge. Because what is surprising, actually, one of the things that I think cuts down a little bit on the things that you can get done while you're at Disney World is the transportation aspect of it, which is like just part of it because Disney World is such a big place, and that's what makes it so incredible, is that it's so large and there's so many things to enjoy. But with that, it takes like an hour to get anywhere. So for us, we always tried to get dining reservations that were walking distance from whatever park we thought we were going to be in that day. So if we knew that we had extra magic hours in Magic Kingdom, so we knew that we were going to be spending our evening in Magic Kingdom, we booked dinner at the Contemporary Resort because we could just take the walkway, and it was like a 10-minute walk. Okay, so tip number 5 is knowing where to go and when to go. So that means knowing when to book your vacation and knowing which parks to go to on which date. So talking about when to book your vacation, Disney works on a tiered system depending on what their peak seasons are. So those peak seasons are going to be anytime around holidays or times that people are off school. So like Christmas is a big one, spring break, summers, and sometimes Halloween. I have never known it to be like insanely crowded over Halloween. That being said, I've never tried to book a Halloween, Thanksgiving trip. I know Thanksgiving is a big one. Thanksgiving is a really hard time to find a reservation. For us, we booked in early January, so probably like a week after New Year's, and it worked really well. We were able to find a good resort reservation. We were able to just get everything done. So I think any time around that, so booking like January, February, before spring break, so before March, and then right around back to school season, so like late August, early September. September is a really great time to book if you can get that time off school or off work. It's Disney World. It's never not going to be crowded, but that being said, you can book around specific times to kind of avoid the cost and avoid the crowds a little bit and make your trip both time and money efficient. Also knowing which parks to go to on which days. So I don't know how much people plan this out. I know some families, this was my family growing up, had like a very specific system that we followed of like on these parks we go to these, or on these days we go to these parks, or like we always go to the parks in the same order. I think maybe some people have like, I don't know, a certain relevance that they ascribe to each park and that's how they pick when they go. But as I got older, I was like, that doesn't make any sense. And the more that I kind of planned Disney vacations on my own, the more that I realized that that didn't make any sense. Particularly if you're staying on property, the best way to know which parks to go to is based on your extra magic hours. So one thing that I have found extremely handy is you can literally look up Disney parks opening hours. It's right on their website, and it'll show you a 5-day kind of spread. So most people book their vacations for 4 or 5 days. You can also alter it to have it be 10 days or 7 days or whatever. But it'll show you kind of the week spread of when all the parks open and close and when the extra magic hours are. Plan your days around those extra magic hours. Plan your days around which parks are going to open earlier and close later, because you're trying to make the most out of your time. You're trying to be time efficient. So for me now, planning all of these trips, I always put our order of the parks based on those extra magic hours, and then subsequently, obviously, book my fast passes for those parks on those days. Okay, so that is it for my top 5 Disney tips to have the most efficient Disney trip of your life. That being said, the next couple months are going to be full of new Disney content. I'm going to be doing like a pack with me, and then obviously taking videos while I'm there in March. So yeah, there will be lots of Disney content coming up, so stay tuned, and I hope this was helpful. I hope you guys enjoyed.